Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive. If you caught last week's episode, you'll know that my team picked up a season low of 44 points for Game Week 7, and along with that, a significant drop in the rankings to 850k. This meant it was finally time to activate the all-important wildcard, ship out some of the dead wood, and fill my squad with players who really wanted to fight for the shirt. Last week, I also released an initial draft video of my wildcard team, which you can see on the screen now, and since then, before the Game Week 8 deadline hit, I ended up making 3 additional changes to this draft. I decided I wanted to improve my strike force and upgrade the budget striker Joselu and bring in the more prolific Jamie Vardy. This unfortunately meant sacrificing someone in midfield, so David Silva departed, and in came 4.5 million enabler Loftus-Cheek. I was still keen though to triple up on the Manchester City players, so with their form and fixtures in mind, I decided to upgrade my defence, replacing Southampton's Cedric with Otamendi. So this was my final 15-man lineup heading into Game Week 8, so let's now check my starting 11 and see how they got on for the weekend. New goalkeeper Fabianski replaced Ben Foster and started off my game week well, picking up a clean sheet and 6 points at home to Huddersfield. The Swansea keeper plays Leicester, Brighton, Burnley and Bournemouth in 4 of his next 5 fixtures, so hopefully he'll be a nice option to have over the coming weeks. A poor display from my defence this week, picking up a minuscule 4 points between them, with none of them keeping a clean sheet. Disappointing considering their favourable looking fixtures, but with only 4 teams in the Premier League keeping clean sheets this weekend, it's fair to say that most FPL managers had the same problem as me. Due to illness, Ben Davies didn't even make the Tottenham squad in their home fixture against Bournemouth, so that was a huge disappointment, but that's the kind of situation you simply can't predict. And very fortunately, it ended up working out pretty well for me, as budget option Tom Carroll got his first point returns of the season with an assist, and automatically came in from my bench, with a nice 8 points to boost my score. Luckily, I brought Ben Davies in on the wildcard and didn't spend -4 points bringing him in, like I'm sure a lot of managers have. There was loads of hype surrounding Eden Hazard for this Game Week 8, and he utterly disappointed those that backed him, including myself. Considering his low ownership, it seemed a big opportunity to bring him in for Chelsea's game against Crystal Palace, especially after his performances during the international break, but it wasn't to be, performing very poorly in Chelsea's shock defeat. 10.5 million is a huge wad of cash to be spending for a 2-point return, so it's simply not good enough. But Chelsea still have Watford and Bournemouth to play in the next 2, so both my Chelsea assets, Hazard and Alonso, who I'm regretfully spending 17.5 million on currently, will still get a little bit more time to prove themselves. My budget midfield option, Pascal Gross, was one of the very few players to remain in my side post-wildcard, as he faced an Everton side who have really struggled so far this season, and he returned a respectable 6 points. Considering his price tag, you've got to be pretty satisfied with that kind of return, especially when other popular options in his price bracket are failing to deliver currently. Brighton's fixtures look pretty decent for weeks to come, so he should remain a nice little option for the time being, with West Ham, Southampton, Swansea and then Stoke to play in his next 4 games. And if Brighton are going to score goals, it's more than likely that Gross will be involved. Despite Otamendi not keeping a clean sheet this week, my triple up of Man City players paid off in other areas of the pitch, with Raheem Sterling and Jesus both picking up double-digit returns. Lovely stuff. With so many players in that Man City team playing so well, it's hard to know where the points are going to come from week to week, and there's always that threat of rotation, especially with Man City playing in the Champions League this week. Not to mention Aguero returning soon, which could cause an even bigger headache. However, with all that said, after such positive performances from both Jesus and Sterling, it's nice to have that coverage for their next fixture against Burnley at home. Harry Kane failed to score in his 4th consecutive home game this season. That's a blank in each and every one of his appearances at Wembley so far, so that'll certainly be something on FPL managers' minds. I'm sure there'll be a huge shift in opinion for owning the 12.8 million striker when compared to last week when he was absolutely essential. But for me personally, I don't think there's any chance at all of me getting rid of Kane anytime soon. I simply haven't got the bottle to do it, but good luck to any of you that do. My game week was capped off in somewhat disappointing fashion, with Jamie Vardy blanking in his highly anticipated home game against West Brom. A frustrating game to watch for the Vardy owners, who hardly had a sniff during the entire 90 minutes. I had to sacrifice David Silva to bring in Jamie Vardy, but this certainly wasn't a one game week punt, as Leicester's fixtures do look extremely favourable for the next few game weeks, so I still have high hopes for him. So Vardy's 2 points on Monday night took my overall total to a nice round 60 points, with Tom Carroll coming off my bench for the absent Ben Davies. It's not exactly dreamland, but 60 points is a very decent game week, especially when considering the average of 41 was the season's lowest so far. Also, my FPL squad prior to using the wildcard would have returned something terrible like 28 points, so with that in mind, 60 points is a very respectable game week. It's boosted my rank by around 400,000, leaving me at 455k overall. So hopefully we can continue to look up rather than down going into game week 9. If you haven't already, be sure to support FPL TV by getting subscribed to the channel, and I'll be back with a team selection video before Friday's game week deadline. And it's very important to note for any beginners out there that the deadline is on Friday evening this week, so be sure not to miss it. I really hope you enjoyed the video, as well as a good game week 8 for yourselves, and remember, FPL responsibly.